Okay, continuing our paper 2, this is question 6. The diagram below shows the positions of 3 towns. Low Town is due west of Midtown, and the distances are the 75, 110 and the 85 that you can see in the diagram there. Is High Town directly north of Low Town? Well, Low Town and Midtown are east-west. If High Town is north of it, then that angle there has to be 90 degrees. So I'll put in a wee box there with a question mark because that's the issue. Is that 90 degrees? Okay. If it is 90 degrees, then the converse of Pythagoras would say that that squared plus that squared equals that squared. So let's just check it out. 85 squared plus 75 squared, calculator, 12,850, 110 squared, 12,100. So they're not the same. 85 squared plus 75 squared is not 110 squared. So the converse of Pythagoras, the angle at Low Town is not 90 degrees, so that's not 90 degrees. So High Town is not directly north of Low Town. And on to question 7. An ornament in the shape of a cone with a diameter 8 centimetres and a height of 15 centimetres. The bottom contains a hemisphere, now that's half a sphere, made of copper with diameter 7.4. So don't forget that the diameter of that is a little bit different, a little bit less than the diameter of the cone. Question is, calculate the volume of the glass part of the ornament and give your answer correct to 2 significant figures, which we will worry about later. Okay, righty-ho. The volume of the glass is the volume of the cone, that's the volume of the whole cone. Take away the volume of the hemisphere, that's the copper bit in the middle. Okay, volume of a cone, that's in your formula sheet, 1/3 pi r squared h. Now the cone has got a radius of 8 and a height of 15, so the volume of the cone is 1/3 pi times 4 squared times 15. Okay, and that gives you this number here, which I've written it in its entirety. Okay, take away volume of a hemisphere. Well, that's the volume of a sphere halved. Volume of a sphere, 4/3 pi r cubed. And just be careful here that the radius of the hemisphere is half of 7.4, which is 3.7. You're going to be a wee bit careful there. So we're at a whole sphere, 4/3 pi 3.7 cubed. Work that out, press equals, divide it by 2, and that's what your calculator gives in its entirety. Do a subtraction because the glass is the whole cone, take away the copper part, and there you get it there. And we'll now worry about the 2 significant figures bit. Okay, here we go. That's your first, that's your second, that 5 puts that up to a 5, and that turns to a 0 point, and all the others turn to 0. So it's 150 centimetres cubed, and that's it to 2 significant figures. Okay, on to question 8. You have to simplify an expression there. So we have n to the 5 times 10n over 2n squared. Okay, so the first one will be 10 to the 5 times 10n, so that's 10n, and imagine a little invisible 1 there if you want. 5 and 1 gives 6. 10n to the 6 over the 2n squared. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and n6 divided by n2. n to the power of 6 divided by n to the power of 2, you take them away, and that's 5 n to the power of 4. Question 9. Express that as a single fraction in its simplest form. This part here, incidentally, is just telling you that x is not allowed to be minus 5 and x is not allowed to be 0. It's not really part of the sum, it's just information. Why can't x be minus 5? If it was, you'd have minus 5 add 5, that would be 0. You're not allowed to have a fraction with 0, and of course over here x can't be 0 for the same reason. So we can kind of ignore that and concentrate on the sum. Okay, the way of doing these is a very standard practice. You take that fraction there and you multiply it top and bottom by x. So you'll have 7x over x times x plus 5, whichever it in there. We take this fraction here, multiply it top and bottom by x plus 5, this denominator here. So we have 3 times x plus 5 over x times x plus 5. The process, of course, is to make it that you have a common denominator, a same denominator there, and that allows us to simplify the 7x, take 3x plus 5 over what is our common denominator, x times x plus 5. Okay, we will now multiply out this, so we have 7x, take away 3 times x, and take away 3 times plus 5 is take away 15. 7x take 3x is 4x, take 15 over x times x plus 5. That's it done.